All right, y'all, after much shooting and much deliberation, here's what I got. I got a target at 5 and a target at 20. I'm gonna set this up and shoot it for you, talk about what I'm looking for in it. I shot a lot this morning, trying to come up with an exercise for the drill of the month of October for the Run Your Gun, Not Your Mouth Facebook group that emphasized a lot of different stuff. And I think the way these targets are set up and the way I'm gonna try to shoot them, you can get a whole lot out of it as long as you're paying attention, right? It's an exercise of self-awareness. So I don't need a shot timer for this at all. I just need to shoot it as quickly as I can see it, and then we're gonna kind of take these shots and learn to diagnose what we're actually feeling and seeing based on where the shots are and remembering what we saw and or felt. So shoot it for you real quick, and then we'll kind of talk about it, man. Shot order is gonna be too close, too far, too close, too far. So 8 total shots. Here we go. So I'm happy with the first group. So I changed spots on the target here. I'll just go ahead and show you first. So there's 1, 2. I know you probably can't tell, but that's a double, and then 1, 2. And then we'll go down here to this far one. I was happy with all the shots here except for one. So we'll kind of take a look at this. And note that they're all alpha, but check out this guy, right? So I want to start to talk about this. All right, man, so I started down this rabbit hole on the second one, so I went ahead and cut the clip. We're gonna start at the first one, and then we're gonna work to the second one, talking about some stuff. So what are some things to get out of this exercise, man? Number one is where are you looking at, right? And what are you actually seeing? So the reason I dig the close front target, man, I've been playing around with some visual stuff lately that's been blowing my mind. Here's what I think people do on the close stuff, right? The stuff that they don't respect the way they probably should. They'll come into it, they'll see big brown blob, and they'll just blast, right? Instead of seeing the spot on the target where you want the shots to go. So I would encourage you to see somewhere into the target, not just seeing the big brown blob with the red orb on it, right? What I'm concerned with here is as I'm leaving this target to go to the second one, and as I'm coming back, right, from the second one, am I getting these shots that are dragging off on the way out and dragging on the way in, right? So this is basically due to not being visually patient enough and not picking a spot out on this target where I want to send these bullets. So as I see the red orb coming in, I see red on brown, bang, right? And you'll see these shots start to kind of work around in here. We see these pasters where I was working on this earlier. Second thing is on the way back out, am I abandoning this spot visually and the gun's following, right? The gun's gonna follow where your eyes go, man. So what you will see when you arrive here is boom, and as you start to look, gun's gonna come with you, and you're gonna drag one off over in this area as well. So 2 forms of diagnosis. If I got shots over here, this is likely my gun getting to the target before my eyes did, and my gun overrode where I wanted to shoot, and I just shot anyway. If they're over here, they are either a lack of visual patience coming to this particular area I wanna shoot, or they are, I don't really see a spot on the target. I see big brown blob, looks good, send it, right? So that's a thing to consider on the close one. You'll notice when I shot that, it's a very rapid string of fire because I don't have to be precise with that like I do on certain things that require a little more respect. I'm just looking for color on that target, right? When I see color hit that target, I'm shooting 2. This guy, let's talk about this guy. So here's my second one. So if you'll notice, these are all pretty solid. I'm happy with that. Pat on the back, Mark, good job. This is the one I'm concerned with. So I think one of the biggest issues guys will have, man, is they'll shoot this, they'll say, oh, it's all alpha, walk away and not diagnose it. This is barely alpha, man. This is barely alpha. Now, I was shooting it pretty quick, right? But you can shoot pretty quick and still shoot pretty good, as demonstrated right here, right? So what happened with that guy? That's what I want to pay attention to. So I think that for a lot of people, man, their hands will start to do different things based on their perception of the target, right? Meaning I perceive this target to be a little bit more difficult than the other one. And so my hands will start to do weird stuff like tighten up, tense up, right? My body may even get involved in this, so on and so forth. And I'll take, instead of looking at a spot on the target and waiting to see the red in it, I'm trying to overshoot. I'm trying to over aim, right? And so guys will stop the gun, see perfect round orb, press, bang, and then on the second shot, they'll go, all right, now, right? And they'll do that freaking snatchy thing where they drive the whole hand down. Be aware of that, right? So this whole thing is, if that happened, do you know what shot it was and how it actually happened? The first step to not doing things we don't want to do is understanding what we actually did, right? And so I think instead of saying, oh, it's all alpha, walking away from it, be pretty critical of this and say, okay, what happened right there? That was absolutely the second shot of the second string, right? So I remember feeling in my hand, everything was good and relaxed, and I got to that last one. It could be a little bit of conscious override, right? The brain starts to go, oh, this is going really good, and then you start to abandon the process that got you where you wanted to go. Could be that, but it's absolutely physically based in my hand did that as I pulled the shot. Now, it didn't do it egregiously enough to throw it out, but if this target would have been at 25 yards, it would have been out. So I'm not saying, oh, the target's far away, I'm going to accept slop, right? I'm going to shoot this at a pace I want to be able to go at. And if I'm going to miss, I'm going to miss in the name of exploration. When you miss, don't just walk away and say, oh, I missed, I guess I'll try it again. Begin to diagnose that. Did I actually see anything, or did I just see big brown blob and red orb on it and I shot anyway? Did I let the gun, right? Was I patient enough to let the gun come to the spot of the target I was looking at, or did I just shoot it because I saw red on brown? As I was shooting it, was I aware that my grip changed on certain targets or certain shots? I think that if you over grip on the close one because you think, oh, I'm going to really rip this one, right? I'm going to bang, right? That's where you're going to see your trigger freeze show up. That's absolutely related to fire and hand tension, overbearing down on the gun. It's rooted in speed, right? We want to go fast, and so let's tighten up everything real tight. Well, see how that goes for you and try that out. But it's a really neat thing, man, that you can get so much out of as long as you're paying attention to what's going on, right? So if I miss the shots on the first target, why, right? So one of the things I like to do with myself, man, is say, hey, first things first, can you hit that target? Can you hit it where you want to hit it? And if the answer is yes, then the next question becomes, well, then why didn't you, right? And I think if you abandon that second part, that why didn't you part, you'll never figure out how to actually do what you want to do. Start to think deeper about how you're getting the results that you're getting, and start to think deeper about how to get the results you want, right? It's not typically going to be associated with an aiming thing, right? So a lot of guys like, I'm just going to aim harder. Well, bro, like you see dot in that spot, like what else do you need to see, right? It's typically going to be the visual patient side of actually waiting to see that, or it's going to be, I am getting involved in the firing process of the gun. So some things to do, man, in dry fire. Let's talk about that. All right, y'all, so the last part of this is giving you some dry fire juice to go with the rest of this cocktail, man. I think if it were me, I would be dry firing this 9 times and shooting it once. There's so much you can get out of the dry fire side of it as long as you are paying attention to what is going on, right? So as I come to the first target, did I actually see the gun park in a specific spot on that close target, or am I disrespecting that target based on what I perceive it to be? Next, as I go to the second target, is the gun actually following my eyes? Am I getting my eyes to that target first and the gun's getting there and parking on the spot that I'm looking at, or am I seeing it just kind of go wherever? Two things. If you see it overdrive, that's going to be you're either putting way too much muscle into the gun to get it there. That's not that far of a transition, man. It might be 3-5 yards, something like that. Or you're not actually seeing a spot in that target that you want to park the gun on. You're just seeing brown. And when you just see brown, as long as dot hits brown, brain says, okay, good to go. You got to see into that target, right? Don't just see the alpha, see into the alpha and find that little spot, right? If you guys remember back on the Patriot, right? Mel Gibson, aim small, miss small. It's a thing, right? So your gun will absolutely tend to track to where your eyeballs are looking, so long as they're looking at something, right? You got to see something. Next part of this is going to be the dry fire piece on how to actually work the trigger. On the far target, guys, 20-yard open target, 25-yard open target, whatever, definitely 15. I'm trying to avoid trigger prep if I can, because it just takes so long to do it. If you need to prep a trigger on this target, then by all means do so, right? If that's what I got to do to get the hit, because I ain't there yet. But I think that trigger prep on every target is not a thing you should be doing, at least not for very long, right? You should move past this pretty quickly. So what are some ways I can get this done? So what I'm going to do, man, I'm going to take my pistol, I'm going to hold it in my conventional grip that I always do, and I'm trying to do this. Watch the gun. Right? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to smash on that trigger and pay attention to what I feel in the rest of my hand and in the rest of my arm. What I'm trying to get over is this, right? I don't want that to be occurring, right? So I think if you'll freaking put all of your focus on your hand and actually feel it when it happens, you'll get through it a whole lot better than if you just try again with no consideration of what's actually going on. So I'm going to sit there and I'm going to work on bang, 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 bang. You may find that this strong hand, or I'm sorry, this support hand is not tight enough, right? I might need to tighten that up a little more. Yeah, now I can really wrap on it. From that, I'm gonna go ahead and put the gun in front of my eyes on a very small spot, and I'm gonna work on pulling the trigger without moving the sights, right? Cool. Absolutely would have worked out. So Once you can get to that point, now we start to think about multiple shots, right? So sure, you can do it for one shot, but can you do it for multiple shots? And I think when dudes are shooting stuff like this, especially 2 or more shots, their grip is changing in recoil, right? So they start out, first shot goes really good, and then they're either overdriving the gun back down, or they're bang, right? Which I guess either way is overdriving the gun back down. Start to pay attention to that stuff, man. It's not that you can't hit it, it's that you have trouble hitting it the way that you're doing it, right? So figure out what it is about the way that I'm doing what I'm doing that's causing this problem, and the fix becomes pretty simple, right? Now, am I saying don't miss? No, I'm not saying don't miss. Please do, right? Go shoot it at the speed you want to shoot it at, but understand why you're missing, right? What I want you to do is learn to drive the car at 180 miles an hour, right? So take that son of a gun up to 180 miles an hour where it makes you uncomfortable. From there, learn how to drive it there, right? So it's not that you can't drive it at 180, it's that 180 don't feel so good, right? Start to diagnose, why can I not do that, right? What is actually happening? What am I feeling? What am I seeing? What am I processing? Neat thing being, I think if you want to go 180 miles an hour, then you've got to go 180 miles an hour, right? And then the cool part about it is once you're used to running 180 miles an hour, you've now raised your 100% capability, which means your 90% also went up with it. And so we're going to back down to 90, and now 90 is going to be faster than anything you could have done originally, but it's still going to be in control. So that's the neat thing about it, man. There's a whole lot going on with this. This video, man, honestly, so I didn't write up a little like follow the numbers points to talk about. So I've told a lot of you guys that have been in class before, my brain's like a tornado of ideas, which is essentially what you're getting right now. I'm just roping that thing. There's so much going on with this, right? Don't just shoot two, and walk off and see what happens, right? Diagnose what is actually occurring in your hands, what is occurring in your mind, what is occurring visually. And dude, it's really easy to come up with a dry fire program for the next week based on the issues that you have with these targets. So that's what I got for you, man. I hope you get a lot out of it. If you got any questions, drop them in the comments, either here or on the Facebook thread. Come check out Run Your Gun, Not Your Mouth Facebook group if you're not already in there. It's a really neat place, man. They're giving away free tuition to some classes based on your participation in these little exercises. So once again, this is October's Drill of the Month for Run Your Gun, Not Your Mouth. I'm Mark Smith, JBS Training Group. This is Procrastination Station. Take the time you need, but need the time you take.